everyone. Today I am going over a huge haul of dwarf and compact seeds, which I think is great because for any of us that either grow in containers or have small gardening spaces, it can be difficult if you want to grow a plant, but it's going to take up a ton of space in your garden. So a couple weeks ago, Sow Right Seeds messaged me on Instagram and asked if I'd be interested in trying out any of their seeds and if there was anything in particular that I was looking for. And I said, based on my growing environment, if you have any plants that are made for smaller spaces or that work really well in containers, that would be great. And I had no idea how many they were going to send out, what kind. I didn't really expect more than a few packets. And they sent out so many. All of these seed packets they have sent out. And I've already organized them because I am a person who loves organization. But I am going to go through all of these with you. I'm not growing all of them this year because I just got them now. And I pretty much planned out the majority of my garden space. So there's just not enough room for all of them this year. But I do have some I am for sure going to plant. And I'm going to save the rest either for, there are some cool weather crops. So I'll do those in the fall or going into next year. Now I did not pay for these seeds, and I always want to make it clear in my videos the things I have paid for, the things I haven't paid for, things I might be being paid to promote specifically, which I'm not being paid to promote this, but obviously by sending seeds out to gardeners who share their garden on social media, I'm sure the idea is to hopefully spread the word about them. And because I haven't grown these before, I can't say specifically yet how I feel about them and how they do, but I do know that they are all heirloom seeds. And I mean, heirloom I feel like was something I heard about when I first started gardening, but didn't really know what it meant. I was like, oh cool, that's an heirloom seed. But basically an heirloom seed is any seed that has a history to it. So it's been around for at least 50 years and it's not a hybrid, because if you get, and I do love hybrid plants as well, but if you're growing something that's a hybrid and you save seeds from that plant, and then you plant those seeds next year, you don't know for sure what you're gonna get. But when something's an heirloom, that means it is a plant that if you save the seeds, plant it again, let's say for example, well, let's go with this watermelon sugar baby. If I save seeds from a watermelon from the seed packet, I will get the same type of plant next year. So just keep that in mind if you are growing something and you wanna save the seeds for it. If it's not an heirloom type plant, you might not be getting the same exact plant next year. Now, something else I want to do a whole video on, and I've definitely had some interesting experiences over the last few years, is working with brands and how people make money from social media. So if you have any questions on that, leave them down below. I do feel like I'm in a fortunate space where making money from social media isn't covering my bills. So I don't feel that pressure to push things on people where others might. I just want to share things that I like or things that I'm trying out, but I also want to make it clear when things are sent to me for free, like all of these seeds were. So I'm going to go through the different categories that I have here. Now, obviously I haven't grown these before. I can't say for sure how they're going to do, but I don't think there's, unless I've ordered seeds from random companies I've never heard on from Amazon, there hasn't been a seed company that I've gotten seeds from that have just done terribly over the years, except again, random companies on Amazon that I have no information on. So I do have high hopes, but I've kind of categorized them into plants I'm definitely growing this year, which is over here, and then other plants that I probably won't be able to grow, or the cool season crops, but then organize them by like fruit, vegetable, herbs. So I'm gonna go through all of these and I'll see if I can find, because I don't remember if the website had images of the plants themselves or it's just the image on the seed packet. So I'll zoom you in a little bit closer so you can see the images on the seed packet to see what these are going to look like. And let's go ahead and jump into it because I actually have started some of these seeds already and I will show you them after we go through all of these options. I'm going to start with the flowers that I am going to grow this year. So this isn't all the flowers they sent, they're just the ones that are going to go in my garden and I am very excited. So first is Sunflower Sun Gold, which is really cute and fluffy. The only sunflowers I'm growing this year other than these are my Sunwrench Summer Provence, I think that's what they're called, and I grow those in a raised bed out on the front deck. I'm not sure where any of these are going to go yet, but I know that I'm going to find space for them because I really want to try these. So these are a dwarf teddy bear type fluffy sunflower, and it grows anywhere from 2 to 3 feet, 24 to 36 inches. The blooms are about 4 inches and they last a long time as a cut flower, and there are multiple blooms per stem. Next up are dahlias, and you know I love dahlias, and these are a dahlia dwarf single mix. These are single blooms, and it says that they get about 10 to 16 inches tall. That's so tiny. A great choice for containers, also looks lovely in flower beds and along borders. I know if I spend too much time thinking about where exactly I'm going to put these, this video is going to be long. So I'm not going to do that yet, but I think these I'm also going to direct sow. I think all of the flowers I'm going to direct sow outside, and I'll kind of see where I need space. Actually, these might work really well in my bucket planter that I just planted the spring flowers in, because I don't want anything huge growing in those because there's not a lot of space in each bucket. Like maybe a bucket is a gallon or 2 at the most of space. So that might be where a lot of these go. So I'm excited to try those. I forgot if I said it, I've never grown dahlias from seed. I've always used tubers that I get from the store, and they're dinner plates, so they're much larger. Next up, I was gonna get these anyway, and then they sent them out. So I was really excited about that. These are Zinnia thumbelina, and like the name, they are dwarf zinnias. Double and semi-double blooms in a rainbow of colors, growing only 10 to 15 inches in height, perfect for containers, beds, and borders. These I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to put them. I'd mentioned in my garden tour video that I have 3 like grow boxes that I got for free from somebody on Instagram that was giving them away. And I wanted to create a zinnia border. And so someone specifically mentioned Thumbelina zinnias would be perfect there. Let's see what spacing says. 6 to 12 inches. I'll do 6, probably a little bit less. And it says I could start these indoors, but again, zinnias grow fairly quickly, and I am going to test direct sowing some versus sowing some indoors, seeing if there's a huge difference, because I've heard like powdery mildew could be a little bit less on ones you direct sow outside. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I know where these are gonna go and I'm excited to grow them. Next flower I'm gonna grow is French Marigold Sparky Mix. These grow up to 14 inches tall and have long-lasting double blooms. These I also know where they're gonna go. I'm gonna plant these around, companion planting around like my tomatoes and peppers, my veggie patch. I tried to do that 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago now? And I didn't read on the seed packet that they were giant marigolds, and they grew up taller than my pepper plant, and I had to transplant my pepper plant somewhere else. But these, 14 inches tall. It's because I'd never seen marigolds that were tall before. I'd only seen the shorter ones at the garden center, so I didn't even realize they could get that tall. So these are small enough that they won't overtake the space. So I'm gonna companion plant these with my vegetables, and also I'm gonna companion plant with nasturtium. So I have grown nasturtium before, I didn't last year. Now the ones I've grown never really take up that much space anyway, but they can become like, you know, good sized mounds. But these are nasturtium Tom Thumb, a dwarf nasturtium mix of yellow, red, and orange, which I think is at the same color mix on these, so that'll look nice together. Does it say color? Orange, yellow, crimson, gold, or bicolor. So that'll be exciting to see. 16 to 18 inches tall, mounding variety, compact mounding variety that looks great in containers. And the flowers and leaves are edible. I really like the flavor of nasturtiums. If you like black pepper flavored things, these are delicious. So those are all the flowers I'm 100% for sure going to grow in my garden this year. Now I'll go over the vegetables that I'm also 100% for sure going to grow in my garden. And you can see I've already opened this one and started these seeds, so I'll show you what they look like. But these are cucumber Space Master, so they're ideal for small container gardens. Compact 2 to 3 foot vines produce an impressive crop of 8-inch fruits with a crisp texture and sweet, non-bitter flavor. So I'm excited to have these. I like cucumbers, but not enough to really grow more than one plant or have a plant that's going to take up a lot of space or be hard to maintain. So I'm going to grow one of these, and I'm really excited to see how it does. I was also thinking with potentially some of the smaller vegetable crops, I could also mix them into my raised beds with the flowers. So those might be opportunities as well. But typically I have a patch, my veggie patch, which is a bunch of grow bags. And then I have usually one like vegetable plant per grow bag. But since I'm working with compact varieties, might be able to squeeze more together. Then I have these really cute zucchini, which aren't, well, it's called zucchini round. I think you can see why, because the fruit is round. So this one is, oh, perfect for stuffing as a soup bowl. Might try that. So this grows as a compact bush. Harvest the fruit when it reaches 3 to 4 inches in diameter. And these I've also started some already. I've already opened them and started a few. I like zucchini and I eat it more than I eat cucumbers, so I'll probably have 2 of these that are in my garden. Next, another one I've already started is the tomato Tiny Tim. So these are only gonna reach 12 inches tall. So this is definitely one that I think I might fit into raised beds with the flowers, or maybe I should even try one in the bucket planter too and see how that does, since it's only gonna be 12 inches tall. So each plant yields an abundance of 1 to 2 inch tomatoes with a tangy, sweet flavor that never fails to delight. These did say start 10 to 12 weeks indoors before your last frost, and I did not get them 10 to 12 weeks, so I've started them now, and we'll see how long it takes for them to grow. Next, I have bush beans. I don't think I started either of these yet, so I have 2 different bean varieties because, yeah, these do say to direct sow outside. So these are a compact 18 to 24 inch bush. This is the French Slenderette. Classic French green beans. They keep their flavor and texture well when frozen. So these are going to be relatively compact as well. Again, 2 feet maximum, although some plants in my garden do go over the maximum size, but they're at least more compact than a traditional bean plant. This is bush bean Royal Burgundy, and similar to the Royal Snap 2 peas that I have, I'm growing these because they're pretty and they are purple. So I'm excited to have both the French Slenderette and the Royal Burgundy in my garden. Let's see if there's any. This is 18 inches tall and recommend sowing directly outside. So that is everything that I know 100% for sure I'm going to have in my garden this year. The rest, I might add some, I might not, depending on space. We'll kind of see how it goes. My goal this year, and it's really hard for me to do, is to not overstuff my garden, because I know that when I cram too many things together, they just don't perform as well. And I don't want to have, twice the number of plants that aren't really happy in my garden. So I'm trying to limit myself, but we'll see how that actually goes. So now I'm going to go through everything else. I'll try to be a little bit faster with these, again, so the video isn't super long, and I'll show you everything else that they sent that is also a compact plant. Okay, so next I'm gonna go through the compact flowers that I'm maybe not gonna grow. I really wish I could, because a lot of these are beautiful, but again, space limitations, so they might be saved for next year if I don't get them in this year. So this is Snapdragon Tetra Mix. This is a semi-dwarf variety. It reaches 28 to 30 inches tall. It's also a mix, so the colors in this are pink, purple, red, yellow, and white. Blooms spring through fall. Keep those there. I have dwarf petunias, and I also love petunias. My favorite petunias are the Supertunia Vista series from Proven Winners, because they flower like crazy and you don't have to deadhead. But these are compact, so they grow 8 to 12 inches tall, so much smaller than the Supertunia Vistas that I grow. It grows in a bushy shape, excellent for beds, borders, containers. Let's see. Yeah, this is also start indoors 8 to 10 weeks before last frost. That's another reason why I'm not growing some of these this year, is that I kind of missed that 8 to 10 week cutoff. And zone 6A, we have a long growing season, but it's not super short. So I didn't want to be direct sowing a bunch of seeds that said to start 8 to 10 weeks before, even though you can, but that's one of the reasons I'm not growing some of these. This Balsam Tom Thumb Mix. I've never grown balsam before. I think this is a maybe on my list, even though this one says sow 8 weeks ahead of time. But this is a shade tolerant member of the Impatiens family. Double blooms, dwarf variety, reaches 12 to 16 inches. So for me, both of my decks are full sun, but my front stoop and the parkway are either part shade or full shade, depending on where I plant. So I might start some of these. Does it say you can direct sow? It says you can, so I might try that down there. Actually, let's move you over to my maybe pile. Then I have Coreopsis Dwarf Lance Leaved. So this one gets 12 to 18 inches tall. The blooms are yellow. This is one of the plants I learned about in my horticulture class last fall. This one, it says sow in late fall to allow seeds to overwinter. You can cold stratify them yourself, but I like to do whatever is easiest. So I think in the fall, I'm gonna toss these outside somewhere to have them grow next year. Next I have, oh, it looks like I have 2 of the sunflower sunspots. So this is another dwarf sunflower variety. It's 10-inch single flower head, so it's still pretty large flowers on short 36 to 50-inch stalks, which is funny because for me, like, I mean, 36 I'd still say is like medium height in my garden. 50 is still pretty tall, but then you think of the giant sunflowers that are actually growing in fields and down in the ground, but it's definitely larger than, I forget what it was called, but the teddy bear sunflower that I'm gonna grow. So I want to find a place for these next year, but I don't have a space for them this year, but they are staying in my seed collection. Then I have lavender, and lavender is hard for me. Well, this is Lavender Munstead. It grows 1 to 2 feet tall. I have killed a lot of lavender in my garden already. I've never grown it from seed. I've always, brought a plant in from the garden center. So we'll see if I actually do, because I love lavender. I love the smell. I love picking lavender, but I don't want to kill them. So this is a maybe for me to potentially try out and see if I can get it to work. And that would also look really pretty, I feel like, in the bucket planter. So we'll see, but I'm going to hold on to this one. So those are all of the dwarf or compact variety flowers that they sent. Next, let's move into the herbs. This first one is dill compact. It grows 18 to 20 inches tall. Now I feel like most of the herbs in my garden don't get that big anyway because I grow them in 8-inch terracotta pots, so they get root bound very easily. So they don't grow as large as they would in a larger container or raised bed or for sure in the ground. But I do think I am going to try using this in my herb rack this year to see if a dwarf or compact variety of dill prefers a smaller pot better. And this does recommend direct sowing after last frost. Doesn't really transplant as well, although every seed I've ever started and transplanted that said doesn't really transplant well, I've just been careful with and they've been fine. But I think I'm going to direct sow this in one of the pots. Then I have basil Greek. This is a dwarf basil that grows into a rounded dome. I'm already growing some mounded basil that I started from ETV, so I don't think I need any more basil yet this year, but I'm going to save this. Leaves are a 1/2 inch long, have delicious, sweet, spicy flavor. And this says it works perfect in 3 to 6 inch pots, which I think is the first container size recommendation I've seen. And a 3-inch pot is pretty small. So that's interesting. So maybe I will try this just to see how it does, because now I'm very intrigued by that. And then I have 2 more herbs, which I realize don't specifically say they're dwarf variety on them. I don't think. So flatleaf parsley, which I've grown before. And yeah, I don't see anything on this that says it's a dwarf variety. And then cilantro, coriandrum, sativum. This also doesn't say, I think, anything about, it also doesn't say the height, but it doesn't say the height and it doesn't say anything about being a compact variety, but I still grow the regular sized herbs anyway. So I'm going to hold on to all of these. And again, I'm intrigued by the basil and I might grow the dill to see how the compact variety does. Then I have my category called greens. Lettuce, Little Gem, which I feel like I've grown this before. I might be growing it now in a mixed seed packet I put out there. But this is a miniature romaine style lettuce, fun and easy to grow. Heads are 4 inches across and 4 to 6 inches in height when they are mature. These I'm probably going to sow later in the season. So I have my spring lettuces already sown and growing in my front raised bed. So I think I'm going to save these because I'm pretty sure I used all the seeds. Maybe, I have to check. So I'm going to save these for the cooler season in the fall. Next I have kale, and this is Dwarf Blue Curled Scotch. Compact with frilly blue-green leaves, best as a fall crop, very cold, hardy variety. I don't think this one says a height, but it does have dwarf in the name, so I'm gonna assume it is smaller. Next, I have cabbage Jersey Wakefield. It's an heirloom from 1840, so that is a while ago. It says it can be planted closely together, producing compact pointed heads that reach 2 to 5 pounds apiece. I'm very intrigued by this as well. So this one I will probably do again in the fall because it does prefer cooler growing temperatures. So I'll save these as well. And then I have spinach, Bloomdale, let's see, cold hardy, slightly more heat tolerant than other varieties. I don't see anything specifically about compact, but spinach plants I feel like are never really that large. So that is all of like the leafy greens that I probably will be sowing most of these in the fall time or end of summer going into fall. Then my last category here are, I think this is just like fruit and vegetable is what I categorize these as. I already showed you watermelon sugar baby. These are standard ice box or picnic watermelon. They're productive, compact vines, and they create round 6 to 10 pound watermelons. I've grown, I don't know if it was sugar baby, I feel like it might have been, or something very similar sounding. I have grown watermelon in my garden before, and it's one of those that I go back and forth on. Now, this didn't take up as much space as the standard cantaloupe plants that I grew that same year, but because I only get like 2, maybe 3 melons from a plant at the most, and I have a lot of issues with disease on my melon plants and pests, I don't know 100% if I'm going to grow this in my garden or not. I might give it a try next year. I'm going to hold on to the seeds, see how I feel. If I don't end up growing watermelons, I'll give the seeds to someone. There's plenty of people that always take my seeds. But I love watermelon. They taste so much better grown in my garden than from the store. I don't know if, with my small space, if they are productive enough to give space to. So we'll see. Holding on to these. Then I have alpine strawberry. So these are compact perennial plant, perfect for borders or containers. I have been thinking about doing strawberries, again, in my bucket planter, which I'm apparently just going to fill with everything in there. But this also does say to sow seeds 6 to 8 weeks inside. So I don't know if I'm going to do it this year, but I think next year I'm going to look for more places to tuck in strawberry plants. I do have strawberry plants already that I'm growing for this year. Some that have overwintered from last year, but I think I will probably add more in the coming years because I love strawberries so much. Then we have Brussels sprouts, which I love Brussels sprouts. I've never grown Brussels sprouts. I don't know if I will, but I'm intrigued by it. So this one's been around since the 1890s. Each plant produces heavy yields of 1-inch sprouts on a compact plant that reaches 20 to 24 inches tall, making it a great choice for small spaces or containers. So we'll see if I grow this. It kind of reminds me of the ground cherries last year I grew because I was intrigued by them, but I didn't love the flavor of them. But I do know I love Brussels sprouts, so I think I'll be happier if I try this one out for the first time. So definitely saving those. Soybeans, never grown these before. Perfect for picking fresh as edamame. Heirloom. This heirloom produces a reliable crop of pods that usually bear 3 plump seeds. It's a compact, upright soybean, easy to harvest and perfect for small gardens. Now this one says sow directly outside 1 to 2 weeks after last frost. Maybe I'll pop one of these. Ooh, maybe I can pop one of these into my 30-gallon grow bags with my tomato plants as well. I might have to do that. I know I said like this is the pile of things I'm not necessarily going to grow, but now I'm finding spaces for them. Then we have summer squash, straight neck. It's an early summer squash with yellow skin, delicious sweet fruit, grows in a bush-like shape that makes harvesting easy. That is something to look for because I think it's zucchini specifically. There are like vining varieties and then there are bush varieties. Same things with tomatoes. If you see anything that has like bush variety in the name, that is going to be a much more contained plant than something that's going to be vining out. Now I do still have like indeterminate tomatoes with vines that I need giant support cages for. But if you see anything that says like bushy growth, bush variety, those are going to be more compact, and I do prefer those for the most part in my garden. Then last we have sweet pepper cubanelle. This one it says a favorite for frying in Latin American cuisine. It's slightly tapered sweet pepper with just a touch of heat. Color changes from yellow, green to orange and red. I don't know if this one says compact either, but I have enough peppers already, I think. So I don't know if I'm going to do this year, but I am going to hang on to it. So those are all the seeds that I got. It is a lot, and I was so thankful when I opened the package and saw how many there were. I do feel like dwarf plants, compact plants are growing in popularity. Maybe it was just me not knowing where to look, but I feel like from when I started gardening 5 to 6 years ago really intensely, being able to find compact plants then to finding compact seeds or plants now is a lot easier. So there's definitely a trend. I feel like, especially in urban areas, more people are container gardening, people that don't have yards. And the sellers are starting to notice this and creating more compact varieties or offering more compact varieties. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see how all these do. Let me take you over to the seeds that I started from these seeds so far, give you a quick update. I'm going to give you also a quick update on my zinnia and my cantaloupe plant because I had to move those from the grow light, and then that's going to be everything for today's video. Here is how the seeds are doing that are underneath my grow lights here. So the top is Gomphrena. This is the mounted basil. I started this again from Me TV back in early February, so I'm going to pop those into the garden this year. More Gomphrena here at the bottom. I think, yeah, these are all of the asters and the hollyhocks that I started with you. And then this is a tray I just started. I did not film this because I was like, it's the exact same process all over again. But these three here are the compact varieties. Or no, maybe they're not. The tomato's not. Did I not start the tomatoes? Okay, I gotta go back and look at, see what I did and what I didn't do. But the zucchini and the cucumber are definitely the dwarf varieties here. So these are the ones that are going to be cute and round. The cucumbers are already starting to come up. We have one zucchini popping up there. And then everything else in here I think is my status. I need to shift this over because my morning glory are not under the light far enough. Yeah, Cosmos, Status, Celosia, and Morning Glory. So that is what's under the grow lights currently. Now coming over here into my office, because I had to move these out of the grow light because I'm favoring my new seedlings over them, I have the cantaloupe and the zinnia that I also started for Me TV and couldn't bring myself to get rid of. So I have been trying to hand pollinate the flowers as they open. We'll see if it works. And then here, I do have a bud. So that bud should become a flower. And if I can grow zinnia flowers inside just grow lights, I'm going to be doing that a lot this winter. So that's going to be everything for today's video. Obviously, if you want to go pick any of these up, I will leave their website down below. I will update you on how these do, the ones that I am going to grow in my garden this year. And I'm really intrigued to see how the compact plants do, and if that means that I can shove more things in my garden than if I was growing like all standard sizes of plants. I'm probably most excited for the compact, or the dwarf zinnias and the dwarf dahlias, I would say, of everything. Well, I'm also excited for the dwarf vegetables. I'm excited for everything. We're going to see how they do. I'll keep you updated. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.